All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the stream this evening. Kevin Harned with you, and we've got a lot to talk about as we roll through the next little bit of time here. So glad everybody's in, and a lot of folks just now joining the room, and that's simply because we just sent the push alert out. So come on in, have a seat, and we'll roll through some of the weather data that we have. It's going to be a wild couple of days here. Some of the model days, I've got laptops and iPads, iPhones all in front of us. We're all hinging, every meteorologist around hinging on every model run that is coming in. And we're watching the latest NAM model come in now. That's a medium range model. And then a high resolution model that we have access to, the ClimateVision model, is also coming in as we speak. One's about 30% done. The NAM's just over halfway done. So it doesn't quite capture the storm just yet, but it's getting close. Nonetheless, that is where we are on this. I see a lot of folks putting their comments in. We'll be talking to you and getting those comments. There's Scott saying, a good evening, and a good evening back at you. So appreciate everybody jumping in. We've got a lot of folks jumping online tonight. And what we're going to do is roll through everything that at least that we know at this point. All right. Now at 11 o'clock, we'll have this new set of data in, and we may make some minor changes. I've made a few minor tweaks since our earlier shows, just with some of the data we have. But again, we don't just always react to every model run. Especially the newest ones, the high resolutions ones that are just now starting to capture the storm. Those are new, and we need to see where they're going to fall. So it's kind of a good exercise for everybody in how modeling works and what we look at and some of the biases that these models have. So a lot of folks jumping on, and we say hello. There's David Jones from Taylorsville. We've got Crestwood checking in. Hello to Leo there down in E-Town, and points in between. There's another one coming in from Taylorsville. Angela, hello. North Vernon, Indiana. We got the sunny side represented. Hello to everybody. Glad you're at home, hopefully, and watching and sort of buckled down to see what's coming our way. So let's dive into it. I'm going to share with you what we know. We did this the last several days. We've got a number of alert days lined up for varying reasons and various levels of confidence in each of these. So what I want to do is just take a minute to sort of look at the broader scope of what we have going on. First of all, the system is underway. We have colder air spilling in tonight, and that will set the stage for the winter storm. We have to have the cold air in place to really get this much snow out of a system like this. And the depth of that cold air is very important. So what we know is that the cold air intrusion is already beginning. We've seen that through this evening, and that will continue through the day tomorrow. So tomorrow's a colder day than it has been. That takes us to our first alert day on Saturday, where we expect that snow to begin likely in the afternoon. I think that we have a little bit of dry air to overcome first. So that'll be another determining factor. So you can sort of check that. If we were to create a list of things to watch, one would be the onset of precipitation, or when we actually saturate the atmosphere. If that happens earlier in the day Saturday, that could change our snow totals, right? So right now, we're looking midday into the afternoon that snow begins. I suspect that by evening, we'll have, a couple of inches of snow on the ground, 9, 10 o'clock in the evening. That heavy snow moves in late, and a significant accumulation will be possible Saturday night into early Sunday morning. Now, that's a 10. I really feel confident that that's where we are for Saturday. Sunday, not as confident in the sense of where this sleet may mix in. How far north does that go? That's a big question mark. And boy, that can really bust a forecast like this. So that's going to be critical. We have to understand the temperature profile of the atmosphere we're looking at. And that's harder for us because models have a difficult time with that. Excuse me. We don't launch weather balloons here in Louisville, so we won't get that vertical profile. We use oftentimes airplane data as it comes in, the ACARS data. But if the airport shuts down for any reason, we're going to limit ourselves on that data. So this makes it a little tougher as opposed to a city that may launch balloons or where we would have that vertical profile. So bottom line on that is the confidence isn't as high on Sunday because of the sleet that could contaminate the snowfall. All right. And we just need more data at this point. That would mean more high resolution model runs to try to determine where that is. All of the data at this point points to it being just south of Louisville. Now, Monday, again, further out in time you go, you can expect the confidence to waver just a bit, and certainly typically is lower. The snow should end by early Monday, a wide range of 6 to 12 plus inches of snow, breezy and cold. Now, I'm going to show you the snow map in a second. So that's just an indicator to say, well, we've got a wide range of snow. Most of it's still on the heavy side. I mean, you just get a 6-inch snow, that's pretty big around here. You certainly get a 12 to 16-inch snow. That's a big deal. Morning temperatures will be below zero on Tuesday. We're oftentimes more confident in a temperature long-range forecast than a precipitation long-range forecast. And that's why we go from a 7 on the confidence up to an 8, because Tuesday is based on temperatures. And I suspect that with snow and a deep snowpack that we're going to have, those temperatures will be well below zero, and the wind chills will be double digits below zero on Tuesday. This is the setup of what we're looking at. So let's dive into each one of these, at least in the near term. We've got the alert day for Saturday into Tuesday because of this winter storm, significant snow and ice accumulation. Avoiding travel is probably going to be not only necessary, but forced on us. I mean, a lot of things are just going to shut down, especially south and east where you get some of that ice. Ice is the bad part, not necessarily the sleet, but the freezing rain. I've got the maps coming up, so hang in there. We're going to get to everything. And then, of course, the dangerous cold. Excuse me. Again, we look for the heavy snow to develop late Saturday, continues Sunday, mixes with sleet to the south, and then that significant accumulation is realized as we roll into Monday, where the winds will crank up as well. So we could have some blowing snow in places because of the fluffier snow in the colder parts of the atmosphere especially. Now, the National Weather Service has upgraded us from that winter storm watch to the winter storm warning. And you can see Wavy's already busy. The crash, this is not weather related, but Wavy's going to be worn out by the time this deal's over. And he's not going to be alone. Our whole team is going to be worn out over this deal. All right. Nonetheless, back to the alerts. The winter storm warning, Indianapolis hasn't put theirs out yet. Neither is Wilmington. Those counties will also likely be under the winter storm warning. They're not escaping it. So a little bit different criteria. And of course, as you go further out in time, that storm moves to the north and east. So they'll eventually catch up and likely be under the winter storm warning as well. All right, I'll zoom this out because we're not alone in this. You can see the ice storm down to our south, parts of southwestern Tennessee, stretching back into Mississippi, northern parts of Alabama. You can see the advisories in place, and then the winter storm watch goes all the way up into the northeast. This covers a tremendous amount of real estate. It's why you're hearing so much about it, because it's not just like our little pocket's the only one talking about it. No, it's being talked about across the country. This is going to snarl traffic, air travel, you name it. It's going to be a little problematic as this storm rolls through. Again, you look at the map, you're like, well, where is it? Yeah, it's not even there yet. What we will wait for will be a couple of things. First of all, a piece of energy will dive down to the south. Across eastern parts of Texas, an area of low pressure will develop. Moisture starts to stream up over top of that cold Arctic air, and that means a generous amount of snow across parts of the area, and where we can pump in warmer temperatures, likely across southeast Kentucky, perhaps into central Kentucky. That's where we're going to note that we do have some sleet, and then further south you go, closer to the Tennessee border, freezing rain mixing in. So complicated setup, but that's where we're at on it. The future cast is going to show this, and I'll point out that while we start in the cold atmosphere, which means snow, a light, fluffy, high ratio snow. That's how we begin on Saturday, pushing in during the afternoon, at times through the evening. Yeah, snow. And then we're going to start to see the nose of warmer temperatures try to ease in, and that could translate to a period of sleet, especially along and south of the parkways. That will squash some of the snow totals. It means you get a lot of sleet, but several inches of sleet is nothing like several inches of snow. All right. Still impressive. And you're going to get snow and sleet, and it could bounce back and forth a number of times. So it's not like a clean cutoff and you're all of a sudden in sleet and that's all you're going to get. No, this will sort of waver back and forth throughout the duration of the event. Now, this takes us into Sunday morning. Remember on the sort of alert day outline I just showed you, our heaviest snow moves in Saturday night, early Sunday. That's where we are here. We continue to see snow heavy at times right into Sunday afternoon. We could see some areas see a little bit of a dry slot into our southern communities, which is what you note here on the modeling. But here in Louisville, we're still under the snow. So the big question is, and what everybody wants to know, and I could have just shown this map and moved on. This map isn't complete, by the way, but you'll notice not a whole lot changed since last night when I showed you at this time. A broad brush of 8 to 12 inches of snow, lower amounts to our south where we think we are going to have some of that contamination from the sleet and possibly freezing rain. But wherever that edge is, right on the edge of that warmer nose, we will realize even higher amounts of QPF or liquid precipitation that will fall out in the form of the higher snow total, which is why we've painted that 12 plus band pretty close to the Ohio River. And that could very well include us here in Louisville. So whether we're 8 to 12 and we hit that 12, or maybe we go to 13 or 15 inches of snow, that's going to be close to where we are. Some of the modeling coming in, and I'm just going to look because the NAM is continuing to spill in here. And again, it's putting the heaviest snow, and we're not finished yet. There's one more bump up. Let me check the time of this. And we're looking at 7 a.m. Sunday, and it's already cranking out 10 inches of snow for Louisville here. So again, near the Ohio River. That's where we're at on this, okay? So that's the latest snow map. For folks that want to know, what are you thinking? What's it going to be like in my backyard? Mainly snow along the Ohio River. You get just south of us, I think we have a better chance to see that sleet mix in. I certainly think that's a good possibility south of the parkways, which is why we've lowered those totals 6 to 8, 4 to 6. Okay. So that's where we are on that for now. Keeping in mind that we're still waiting on some of the higher resolution data to come in. And while I'm just checking the models, I'll check the horizon just to see how it's spilling things out. It actually is a little farther south than it was earlier, but we're nowhere near finished. This takes us just before sunrise on Sunday. Boy, that is tough to read. And that's putting the heaviest literally in southern Jefferson County down toward the parkways. So again, fine tuning this is what we'll be doing over the next 48 hours as we roll through tonight into early Saturday morning. All right. So that's our snow map. Let's talk about what may make the bust in the forecast or create problems. And that would be the amount of ice that we have to take into account in our forecast. The profile, the temperature profile of the atmosphere as you go from the surface up. What does that look like? If you have a very thin or shallow layer of cold air, as we drop the precipitation into it, splats, freezes, and that will give us freezing rain. That's a coating of ice. If the warmer air aloft is a little bit deeper and the colder air toward the surface is a little bit deeper, we'll melt the snowflake, turns into a water droplet, but then it has time to freeze before it splats. So that gives us sleet. So it really depends on that temperature profile as to what type of precipitation we'll be dealing with. Regardless, both sleet and freezing rain clearly cut down on snow totals. And that's why we sort of outline that area along and south of the parkways to say amounts may be lower depending on how much or how big of a transition we see to the ice, meaning sleet mainly, but some freezing rain as you go farther to the south. So that's one area that we'll be watching to see if that changes. So if I were to look at percentages and say, what's the percentage of, and this is just for Louisville because it does change as you go north or south. So let's just take the highest population. I can't do this for everybody's backyard, but you get the idea. For Louisville, what's the chance of a winter storm? 100%. For Louisville, what's the chance of 4 inches of snow? At least 4 inches of snow. 100%. 8 inches of snow? 80%. More than a foot of snow? 60%. That's pretty big. I mean, that's bold, right? I mean, very rarely do we go into a winter and be like, I mean, some winters we don't even get 12 inches of snow total. That's almost as much as we'd see in a whole winter season. So to say there's a 60% chance of seeing more than, up to or more than 12 inches of snow, that's pretty big. Now, do I think there's sleet or freezing rain potential for Louisville? Minor chance, keeping that at 40% right now, which is why we have some of the higher snow totals here in Louisville. All right. That's why you saw that white painted along the Ohio River. Will that change? I suspect it will. Will it change drastically? Nah, I doubt that, but it could. I mean, we still have quite a bit of time to go, and the storm is just now being sampled into the models. Okay. All right, that's kind of fun. Hopefully that gives at least some clarity on, well, okay, I see what you mean. Now, I'm going to take this full screen so you can see it here. All right, there's that, boom. These are the sort of raw output of the models. And the key, I think, is probably the temperature. You'll notice the surface temperature stays not only below freezing, but very cold through that whole time. Winds begin to pick up as we go late Sunday into Monday. Still gusty on Friday, too, but Friday we're not too concerned about. That's just a windy day bringing in the colder air, right? And boy, is it cold. I mean, we're in the teens, barely, for Saturday and Sunday. Now, start to see the precipitation pick up as well as we roll into the weekend. And notice that by the time all is said and done early Monday, we're looking at snow. And what has it cranked out? Oh, sorry, I'm trying to draw on the wrong page here. Too many computers. What has it cranked out? You can see it. I'll just point to it. Over 19 inches of snow. Is that what we're going to see? Well, that's what the 18Z Euro said. We'll get the next run of the Euro coming in overnight tonight. All right, that's one model. Fun to look at, right? Here's another one. This is the GFS. This takes us through 9:30 and let the numbers kind of populate here. This will take us into the evening hours on Sunday. By this point, the snow is easing. But again, you can see the impressive totals that it cranks out. And I'll just mark on the map. And you can see that we're looking at about 15 inches of snow on the GFS. So that's what that is cranking out. Again, raw data. These are not forecasts. These are models. Models have biases. Models don't always account for the exact ratio that we will have based on our temperature profile. So that's what we have. This is the graph. This is our in-house model. And you'll note that it's cranking out just over 11, almost 12 inches of snow through Sunday at 1 o'clock. Keep in mind, it's not over at that point. So there will be more added to this as we go through Sunday afternoon, gradually easing by Sunday evening. All right. So you get the idea. I mean, a major winter storm, according to all of the models that we have. Now, as far as the National Weather Service, the Weather Prediction Center, yes, they're all in on it too. That's why they have the watches, the warnings now out, and the Winter Storm Severity Index is now major across almost all of our viewing area. Will that go extreme? I don't know. Can't rule it out. I mean, you start getting, if the modeling winds up being very accurate, where we could get 16 to 18 inches of snow, well, that's pretty intense. That could be considered extreme. You typically see the extreme in more places where you would wind up with infrastructure problems, freezing rain, and large accumulations of that. At this point, we're cold enough to sort of hold that at bay. And that's the good news. We can handle the snow and moving that around. But boy, you start getting freezing rain in a system like this, and that is disastrous. The good news is that doesn't look to be in the cards for us, certainly here in Louisville. And south of us, it's more sleet than freezing rain. I think you get closer to the Tennessee border, southeast Kentucky, that could be problematic there. And that'll be something that we have to watch to see just how strong that warm push may be. But at this point, It's tough to beat out the cold air once it's in place because it's so dense. All right. Here are some hand-drawn maps that we put together earlier today. And the scenario still looks to be the same. This moves in from the west and southwest, moisture coming in over top of that cold air. So the snow will begin to our south and west Saturday morning, and then it will gradually lift off to the north. As it does so, it will spread the heaviest snow in our southern counties across Kentucky. That's where we see the heaviest snow Saturday evening. And as Saturday night rolls around, so let me just pause there a minute, because some folks are saying, well, what about Saturday morning? How bad is it going to be? I don't think it's bad Saturday morning. I think by Saturday afternoon, areas to our south start to see the snow. I think we start to see it snow here in Louisville, but it takes hours for things to really go downhill, especially if things have been treated and it's still daylight. But I'd say by 5, 6 p.m. on Saturday, if the timing holds as it looks now, you're going to need to start making plans to head toward the house. So late Saturday afternoon into Saturday evening, things will worsen. And certainly Saturday night, as this band of heavier snow moves up, that's where we see our heavy snow potential. And that will linger right into Sunday morning and Sunday afternoon. Notice to our south, the intrusion of that warmer air, which will give a little more sleet to areas along and south of the parkways. That heavy snow is with us through much of the day on Sunday, and then general light snow as it gradually ends by early Monday. So again, how much? General 8 to 12 north of the parkways, south of the parkways, slightly lower totals because of that sleet that will mix in. And we could still have some sleet here in Louisville, but I think it's very minor. And I think there's more of it to our south, which impacts those totals. Consequently, on the edge of where we go from some sleet to no sleet, I think that's where we have the heavier snow band. And right now, it's a pretty wide band. We'll probably be able to shrink that down as we get a little more data. But some areas probably going to get more than a foot of snow out of this deal. And it could be more than normal. Sometimes it's a place or two, and we're like, yeah, there could have some enhancements where we see more lift, and these folks could get more snow. Well, in this instance, I mean, it's going to be across a decent area as it looks. And then again, the sleet to our south will reduce those amounts, and that's why we have those areas lower there. As far as the snow meter is concerned, we've done this for years. I don't know if we've ever given it a 10, but there it is, the 10 on the snow meter, cabin fever, here we come. Can you imagine? I mean, listen, there's so much chatter about this. We'll never live it down if it's a complete bust, but I don't think it will be a complete bust. All right. The weekend trends, the sleet and ice we talked about yesterday getting more involved, the amounts that are heavy, and then, of course, travel that's going to be difficult. We've mentioned that the last couple of days, and that certainly is something that we're watching as we get closer to the event. So those are still sticking points to the forecast. So that sort of sums it up. That's where we are in this. Let me check the model real quick, and then I'll answer some of your questions. Yeah, so I was looking at the NAM, and sorry I can't show this, translate it to the screen, but the data is just literally coming in, and it still is holding the greatest potential along and north. So it initially came in, of course, to our south. That's where the snow begins, so that's where it was to begin with. But as the time went on, and now we've captured the bulk of that storm. Let me see the timestamp on this. We're now at 7 a.m. on Monday. The snow has ended. Here in Louisville, the NAM latest model cranking out 10.4 inches, while places up around, say, Paoli would have 15 inches of snow. That's just the one model. That's what it's cranking out. And again, we're looking at the trends. We want to see where the latest medium range and high range models have the greatest snow. Almost all of them along and just north of the Ohio River. We painted that yesterday on the map. The trend was to go in that direction, that push farther to the north, and that's still what it's looking like. Now, if the model runs continue to shove that to the north, that's going to take us out of the heavy snow in Louisville and would place it across southern Indiana, between Indianapolis and Louisville. And right now, that is still where it's at. It just happens to be a little closer to the river than, say, Indianapolis. So That's what the modeling is showing tonight. All right. To your comments, let's jump back in. There are hundreds of them. I'm not going to be able to get to all of them, so I'm just scrolling up randomly here, and then we'll take a couple of those before we jump back in. Austin, are they going to declare a state of emergency? Some counties already have. I suspect that they will ahead of time. It just frees up resources as they need them. So that's where we're at. I'm jealous of Debbie watching from Florida. I'm glad you're watching, but I'm jealous of the warmth down there. A lot of folks talking about their particular location. Aaron saying no ice in French Lick, all snow. Looks mainly all snow for southern Indiana. I would agree with that. A lot of hellos from different places. I say hello right back at you. So question Matt says, why don't we launch balloons? There are only a select number of National Weather Service stations across the country that do. Closest to us would be Nashville and up toward Wilmington. So we have balloons nearby, but none from our city. And that makes a big difference. I mean, you have to sort of interpolate the data when you don't have it right for your location. Some specific forecasts like this are going to be impossible to answer, but Wendell's asking, live on the river, Southwest Jefferson County in the Shively area. Will the sleet line reach the Ohio River? Tough to say. It is possible, especially there, but it looks to be mainly, at this point, just south of there for any major impact, which would mean that it's enough to reduce snow totals. James is saying, are we thinking 94 levels of snow? Well, you remember 94 was our largest 24-hour snow, 15.9 inches. Some areas could exceed that. So it's not out of the question, but I'm not sure that's the benchmark that, we'll hold this to. It's been a long time since we've had a major snow like this. The setup is different than 94. Let's see. And again, just asking specific locations, tough, but I'll throw a couple of them up. Salem end up with any sleet? It looks unlikely for Salem. That would be mainly snow. Some folks asking about the color code of what you were looking at. It was labeled on the snow map. So the darker purple was the 8 to 12, and then 6 to 8 on the lighter purple, and then the blues 4 to 6. So that's what you were looking at. Some asking about power outages. Kimberly's saying, hopefully Louisville isn't in danger of power outages. Anytime we get that much precipitation, things happen, whether it's because the weight of the snow that could, weigh something down that breaks and falls on a power line, yada, yada. But as far as taking down trees and power lines on its own, no. Sleet will not accrete, so we don't have to worry about that. That falls off and bounces on the ground. Snow does the same for the most part, so it doesn't provide a lot of weight on trees, branches, or on power lines. So that's the good news, is most of this will be snow and sleet. There will be some instances to our south where they have to worry about the freezing rain or the accretion of ice, and in those areas, power outages would be more likely. That is mainly south of Louisville at this point. Again, a lot of sleet questions. Any chance the line of sleet moves farther south and Louisville sees all snow? If you look at my snow map that we have, and let me just pop it back up, I'm banking that we're going to see mainly all snow, which is why I have the higher totals painted right along the Ohio River. I think the concern at this point that I would have is it may need to be pushed a little bit farther north. So right now you can see that that's a pretty good map still, even with the data that's coming in. There would be some argument that we might push the 12 plus just north of the river, would still place us in that dark purple, which is 8 to 12. So we'll see. Everybody's now either cheering for or against the sleet. Just cheer against the freezing rain, right? That's the truth. Yikes. Um, yeah, Angela's saying, I haven't seen heavy snow here in a long time. Not like this. Now, last January, that was a pretty good snow. That was over 10 inches of snow. So it's going to be similar. But this is going to be wild. It's going to stick around. Last year's did too. That was a mess, really, wasn't it? Yeah, so a shift in either direction determines the amount of snow in general. But I mean, just look at the map. It doesn't matter a whole lot. I mean, the dark purple is 8 to 12 and the white is 12 plus. So might matter a few inches, but at that point, does it really matter is the question. I mean, if you get a foot of snow, right? Does another inch or two really matter? Probably not. But that's where we're at in it, trying to nail down what we think is going to happen. Certainly matters if you think you're going to get a foot of snow and you wind up with 4. That would be problematic. So that's the area we're watching is to the south. Will that sort of sleet invade our southern counties and where? We still have some time. I mean, it's Thursday night. We still have all day Friday. So all night tonight, all day Friday into early Saturday. So we really still have, a solid 36 hours to make adjustments before the snow even begins. All right, back to some of your questions. Yeah, some asking about the wind. Will there be wind with the system and what direction will it come from? After the system passes by, yes, we will have wind. Northerly winds will be strong. Component to the jet stream over 200 miles an hour. I mean, the jet stream is going to be howling by the time Sunday night, Monday roll around. But again, that's up high. Down low, closer to the surface, we're going to have some gusty winds. I don't think we're going to reach blizzard conditions, but I do think we will wind up seeing some blowing snow. And I do think that wind chills will certainly be cold, very cold, double digits below zero. Could E-Town get a significant freezing rain, enough for power outages? Again, I think the bulk of the frozen precip is falling in snow and sleet. Freezing rain, I don't see much of unless you're along the Tennessee border at this point. So a lot of folks asking about particular places, and I don't want to, I've already answered a lot, but it's too hard to get into that because then that's what everybody wants, and I'd be here for days trying to do that. Look at the map, and you can see what we're thinking. Obviously, the higher the snow totals, the more snow. The lower the snow totals down toward Columbia, maybe even Munfordville, Campbellsville, Lebanon, that's where we would have some sleet mixing in, and that's why the totals are lower. Wishful thinking, Paul. Any models show it missing us altogether? No. None miss us. The lowest of all of the models is about 6 to 7 inches of snow for Louisville as of today. I'm just scrolling through. Some of you guys have conversations back and forth. Some of your comments are entertaining. I can't put them all up there, but they are entertaining to read. All right. A lot of the YouTubers are filling the feed. All right. Oh, this was funny today. Heather, thanks. The ladies of KSR from Louisville are cheering you on to win the money for your charity. So Matt Jones from KSR Radio or Kentucky Sports Radio is doing a friendly weather competition with 10 Mets. I guess 11 now. Jim Cantori got involved. So there's $10,000 that go to charity for the Met who selects the snow total closest to the 10th of an inch for Louisville and Lexington. So we'll see how we do on that. We have until tomorrow morning to submit our totals. So I'll let you know when I do that tomorrow. I haven't nailed that down just yet. I still have some time. Yeah. Brian's like, oh, we finally got a level 10. First time I ever remember seeing that, by the way. I think we've done that. John used to do the bread index, right? And then Brian likes Twix. So he does like a Twix index. So I'd settled for the snowmen and the snow index or snow meter. And yeah, 10. Whew. All right, let's see. Again, yeah. Good luck heading to Kroger for sure. We saw the shelves and some of the video coming back into the station today. Oh, what a mess. All right, rolling through. It is almost 10 o'clock, so we've got a little bit of time here. A lot of thank yous, and we appreciate that. Lindsay, thanks. Brian will be back on tomorrow morning, updating everything. We will be on through the weekend, I should mention. We're going to do a lot more streams, so we'll be on all of our digital assets. So that includes the Apple Roku, that includes the Fire Stick, that includes all of those streaming services. And it also includes our social and digital pages too. Everything from YouTube to Facebook to X to Twitch. We're on all of that. And then we're going to do something a little different. We'll simulcast from this room on both television and our stream. Saturday, that one is at 7 p.m. and then Sunday at 4 p.m. So you can tune in wherever you are and get that information. We'll be sending out those alerts so you can keep up with what's going on. Yeah, back to the point of blowing snow that will make it tough to clear the roads even into Monday. And of course, so cold too that some of the product that they put down doesn't work when it's that cold. So it really is all about getting it off of the roads. Yeah, and thanks for saying that. I was looking at that before the stream. It says I'm not full screen. I see that now, and I saw it beforehand. I was trying to make that. I don't know what happened there. So I'm apologize for that. I'll look at that after I'm finished. I can't mess with it now, or it'll kick us off. But I'll get that back to full screen. I thought it looked funny when I was looking at it earlier. I know that makes the maps harder to see, so apologize for that. I thought it was, and then I convinced myself, no, that's the way it was supposed to be. Regardless, I'll have that fixed as soon as we end the stream. Not for tonight, but certainly by tomorrow, right? Next week, yeah, never too early to look toward the next one. Next weekend looks cold. In fact, I'll show you the 10-day coming up. There are a couple minor snows between the end of this one and next weekend, too. And oftentimes, if you can get it cold enough, depending on where that track sets up, if there's a storm that's moving through, or if it's just fueled by lift from a synoptic feature moving across, you can get some snow in that colder air. It doesn't take much to see it mound up. That's what dry snow does, right? It accumulates fast. Yeah, a lot of folks saying, yeah, we're going to be plowing. How many? And here's one. How many beds does your studio have? Well, that's a good question. We do have cots, but most of the time when we're here, we don't sleep. If we're here, you might as well be up working. So sometimes we'll lay down and catch a nap, but most of the time we'll be, for this system, we bring everybody in and they stay in hotels. So we'll all be close. But the weather guys, to be honest, almost always just hang here. So, and we'll have all of us in this weekend, by the way. So Carson, who would typically take all of our weekend shifts, we'll be sharing that with him. So Brian's coming in Saturday evening. Tawana's in here Sunday morning. I'm in here Sunday evening. So we've got a lot of folks covering the weather. Oh, and I assume that, Laura, you're talking about the screen being a little bit squeezed back. Yeah, that is odd. I'm trying to look at it here, but I'm afraid it's going to kick me off. That's what happens. This is on the digital side of things. We broadcast through StreamYard, and they launch out new things and they don't tell you about it, and then just hoses everything. Do you have a timing map? I don't have a map, but again, I think it starts here. I'll create one. How's that? And I'll have it for tonight. That'll be the easiest way to say it. I sort of had that map that was generic: morning, afternoon, evening, next morning. So that was sort of the timing of that. But I hear what you want, and that is specific timing of the onset of when this begins and ends. The biggest snow storm for Louisville in years. Yeah, no question about that. In fact, let me see if I can play this. Well, look at that. These are the heaviest snow. So you can see that January 5th and 6th storm last year was 10.5 inches. So if we're looking at something that tops 13 inches, we'd be in a top 5 storm. So those are the heaviest snowfalls. And can be over a period of time. It doesn't have to be just one day. Some of these were over several days. So that kind of puts it into perspective of what we're looking at. Brad's saying, how excited is Belsky? I did talk to him the last couple of days. He's excited. He loves the snow, right? So who loves snow wouldn't be excited about this? I told him we would get him on the stream. Maybe tomorrow we check in with John. I'll work on that too. The fact is, I've been coming in here at like 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And by the time I meet with the news department, we put a plan together for the weekend, and then we're into our shows. It's like, where does the time go? And then in the evenings, by the time I go grab, Taco Bell or McDonald's and eat fast or grab something out of our company kitchen and then jump on the stream, now it's already 10 o'clock. I've got to go get ready for the 11. And finally, I have time to take a breath. You know what I was going to say, but a breath at 11:30. Yes, the days are filled. All right. Well, that is where we are. I'm going to show you the 10-day. I always like to reset my graphics as we launch into that. So give me just a second to do so. And when we come back, I'll have the 10-day earliest alert for you. Hang with us. We'll be right back. All right, we're back with you here. We've got the 10-day ready to pop up. So outside tonight, early tomorrow, no problems. It'll be a day to sort of get out and get things done on your Friday. It will be cold, so bundle up. Temperatures stay in the 20s all day long tomorrow. Green light to and from, though. That changes by the weekend. Things go downhill real fast by Saturday evening. Let's look at the 10-day. We'll start with the first, all 10. That's exactly what we'll do. And we'll break out your Saturday forecast here, noting that that is when the first alert day begins. The winter storm warning is in place. And throughout the period of time, we're asking about the timing of this. We begin Saturday morning, and by Saturday afternoon, the snow starts to spread to the north. It'll take a few hours for problems to begin, but Saturday evening, we'll start to see those problems increase. The heavy snow, much of Saturday, is to our south, and that lifts to the north by Saturday night into early Sunday. Stays with us for Sunday, and then we'll be moving that snow and sleet and ice past the area. That's not exactly what I wanted to have happen, so I'm going to go back through it. That's the winter storm warning. Here comes the snow. We get that past us, and then it all moves out of here by very early on Monday morning, filtering in behind that the cold temperatures. So the snow map, again, showing the heaviest along the Ohio River. That's where we'll be making some adjustments, trying to get a little more precise in that heavy band of snow. Right now, I feel like that's a pretty large area, but it may wind up being a large area. But we like to be as precise as we can, so we'll be looking at that. And that's why you don't see big ranges on our maps, by the way. I mean, it would be easy to paint a, 6 to 12 inch range or a wider range. We try to do it in 2-inch increments, and then as we get into those higher mounts, it goes up a bit, 4 inches from 8 to 12. But it'd be easy to broad brush things, but we do try to be as precise and as specific as we can, which, by the way, is hard to do. So that's where we are at that. But it makes us better for trying, I think. And oftentimes we're accurate, very accurate. And you're going to notice those amounts to our south getting chomped at by some sleet that moves through. We hit Sunday with temperature at 20, so temperature goes up just a bit. We're still in the winter storm warning at that point. You can see that. And then by Monday, that's where we really start to see the cold temperatures break out. So looking at the futurecast, you can see that snow moving in. The mix comes all the way up to the Ohio River in places, or just south of us. And then it is all snow across Indiana. So that's Sunday, right? That takes us into early Monday. And the graphics have just decided to go on the fritz. Come on. All right, one more time. There it is. All right, sometimes they have a mind of their own. It's probably operator error, but I'll blame the graphic. And then we get into Monday. That's where you can see those cold temperatures. And then by early Tuesday, yeah, the high may be 14, but these are wind chills, double digits below 0. Yikes. All right, so that takes us through the forecast. You see the 10-day stays very cold. The snow that falls is not going anywhere anytime soon. Again, it's 10:10. I'm going to jump off here so I can get everything lined up for the 11 o'clock show. I'll have an update on the snow map. I'll try to create the timing map for you, and then we'll roll from there. All right. So appreciate everybody jumping on tonight. We'll be back again tomorrow night. Brian will be on in the morning. So we've got frequent updates coming to you from the wave weather now. And again, if you're away from your devices, if you're on Fire Stick or Apple TV or whatever it may be, the Roku, you can find us on most of our streaming platforms as well. So the Wave Weather app has the live stream right at the top. Just click live. You'll see it. It'll play for you. So we're going to be there a lot over the next several days, walking you through this storm. And we've got a lot of reporters that are going to be out in this mess, making sure we can see what it's like too. That's important. All right. I'll say good night. I'll see you at 11 o'clock, and I'll see you back here tomorrow night. Thank you.